Hello, ACA family. It's Tuesday, May 19th, and it's the last chapel service of the 1920 school year. And I'm coming to you with a devotional today called Jesus' Calling, Enjoying His Peace in His Presence by Sarah Young. This devotion was given to me right before the coronavirus pandemic mandates came, and I just happened to open it up as I was looking for devotionals for our staff, and wow, was it God's perfect timing to minister to us at this time. So when I was looking at a chapel topic to talk about today, I wanted something to tie in with the armor of God because we've spent so much time talking about the armor of God. But I also wanted it to be relevant for this time. And sure enough, when I opened up today's devotional, it was just what God wanted me to share with you today. I'm reading on page 146 of this devotional. I want you to know how safe and secure you are in my presence. That is a fact. Totally independent of your feelings. That kind of like hit me over the head with the two before. You are on your way to heaven. Nothing can prevent you from reaching that destination. There you will see me face to face. And your joy will be off the charts by any earthly standards. Even now, you are never separated from me, though you must see me through eyes of faith. Oh, there's the shield of faith. We're going to use faith today. We see God through the eyes of faith while we're here on earth. I will walk with you till the end of time and onward into eternity. Although my presence is a guaranteed promise, that does not necessarily change your feelings. When you forget I am with you, you may experience loneliness or fear. Have you ever been lonely or afraid? I have. I felt very lonely lately. It is through awareness of my presence that peace replaces those negative feelings. Peace. The shoes of peace. We talked about that as part of our armor. The shoes of peace that comes from the good news. And then practice the discipline of walking consciously with me through each day. They give two scripture verses. 1 Corinthians 13:12 says, now we see but a poor reflection as in a mirror. I thought that was so interesting. As we're looking and trying to see God, we're looking at him through human eyes. So it's kind of like a messed up mirror, a bad reflection, not a clear, crisp mirror. Then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, then I shall know fully, even as I am known fully. As Christ knows me, we will know him when we get to heaven. We only know a little tiny part right now. The mirror is kind of fuzzy right now because we're seeing him through our human eyes. 1 Corinthians 13:12, that really spoke to me today. The Lord gives strength to his people. The Lord blesses his people with peace, and that's Psalms 29:11. So I hope this devotional spoke to you as much as it did me today. And one thing that really popped out at me was this sentence, I will walk with you till the end of time and onward into eternity. It reminded me of an old hymn in the garden, and it's so old. that my mom used to sing that as a lullaby to me as a little girl. And even older, my mom always had the bedtime routine of rocking us to sleep. And I remember being so big that my legs and arms was out over the rocking chair, and I would actually use my foot to help her rock the chair as she would sing this old hymn in the garden. And that's why on the chapel list today, I put this message first, the scripture, actually a picture of the devotional, my commentary, and then the worship, because I wanted you to know how special this song was before you heard it in the garden. I put 3 different versions on. One is an a cappella version, Alan Jackson, and the third one was, oh, Mercy Me. I did find a contemporary Christian version. Maybe you can find even more of an upbeat version of In the Garden. I would love to hear it because it is my all-time favorite hymn, because I think of myself as a little girl and my mommy singing that hymn to me. It's a family tradition now. We sang it to my 2 nieces, Stephanie and Holly. They're 28 and 30 years old now. My son is 20, and that was his bedtime lullaby, as well as now my great nieces and nephews, Bentley, Charlie, and Gabby. We're singing that song to them, even when Gabby still takes a nap once in a while, and I get to rock her to sleep and sing that song to her in the garden. So I was thinking of ways like the devotional said, of replacing our loneliness and fear by the truth. Truth. There's our body armor again, the belt of truth, the scriptures. What helps us get back to the truth of the scriptures? When do we feel close to God? And do those things when you're lonely and afraid. And in the garden song talks about a couple verses. It says, while the dew is still on the roses. The next verse talks about, he speaks in the sound of his voice is so sweet the birds hush their singing. And in the last verse it says, though the night around me is falling, his voice to me is calling. And in each of those verses, it's talking about nature. Does nature help you feel close to God? I know when I'm out in nature, have you ever heard of the phrase, I feel grounded, or back to nature? When you realize that God is the creator of the universe and has created all the nature, when you are out in nature, it's just a form of worship to just realize how God's creation is all around us. The flowers. I love trickling streams. I like to hunt and fish and hike. And when I'm near a stream and you hear the babbling of the brook on the rocks, I love to hear that rushing water in Ohiopyle by the river, just to hear the water. I feel close to God when I'm out in nature. Maybe when you're afraid or lonely, to get back into nature, to go outside. I know we've talked a lot about that, feeling lonely or being cooped up in the house with these mandates. But if you can get outside and get some exercise and be out in nature and let the sun shine on you, and take some walks and get into nature, look at some birds or flowers. I love to garden, and my husband is always listening for birds, and he actually knows which birds are singing which songs. Like when you hear the birds, he knows which ones those are, and that's really cool. My son looks to the sky. He's always looking up and making connections with how the sky is looking toward the creation. Maybe it's landscapes or seascapes. Anything in nature makes me feel closer to God. So that might be a trick that you can use when you're feeling lonely or afraid to, when we're seeking God and trying to get close to God, that getting out in nature might help. I pray that you see the same connections I did with this devotional. It talked about the truth that He is with us. He is walking with us. He is talking with us, no matter how we feel about it. And that we can use the shield of faith right now to see and feel Him. When we're lonely and afraid, we need His peace to replace those feelings, the peace that comes from the good news that we know we're going to be together with Him again in heaven, gives us peace, and that He has a plan and a purpose for every day of our lives. And we're just using our armor and walking through the journey with Him every day. Encourages me, and I hope it encourages you today. I can't wait to get back to school and see your faces and to worship together with you. I hope that you enjoy the versions of In the Garden. I also posted the words because the chorus talks about that He walks with me and He talks with me and He tells me I am His own. The joy we share as we tarry there, none other has ever known. And even in difficult times, we can cling to the truth of those words. God bless. See you soon.